There's this fundamental human need, isn't there? It's almost like a social contract.
To do what? Exactly.
So report back. You come back from a trip, a big holiday, and the first thing everyone asks is, so how was it? We just have to share.
And that one simple question, how was your Christmas? Well, that becomes a perfect vehicle for a deep dive like this.
Right.
Because the act of answering, it forces you to organize your memories, to structure them.
Yeah.
And you do that using the most basic engine of language, which is, telling a story.
That is exactly our mission today. We are diving into a really interesting source. It's a transcript from an English language learning exchange, and it captures two completely different approaches to celebrating a big holiday. On one side, you've got this travel-heavy, high-energy, family-focused trip.
The expedition.
The expedition, yes. And on the other, you have the quiet, intentional, stay-at-home retreat.
So our goal here is kind of twofold. First, we're going to compare these two stories, these two, successful narratives, and see what they tell us about finding joy in different ways.
Okay.
But maybe more importantly, we're going to reverse engineer the skeleton of the story itself, the actual grammar, the specific rules and pitfalls of the English past. Simple tense that lets you share these memories at all.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with Emily's experience. Let's call it the expedition and the feast. This is the full throttle busy holiday.
Straight away, her holiday is defined by effort. She didn't just stay home.
Yeah.
She went on a journey. She drove her car for 3 hours to get to her parents' house. That commitment, that travel, it really sets the tone for everything else.
And you can't have a holiday drive without the classic problem, right? Traffic.
Of course.
She hit heavy traffic. The source actually says many, many cars on the road. But what I find interesting is how she handled it.
She listened to music.
Exactly. It's a small detail, but it tells you that even in that chaos, she found a way to manage it and, arrive happy.
And when she got there, the whole environment just flipped to social density. It was a full house.
A full house, yeah. Mom, dad, sister, grandmother. It sounds really lively.
Which is the perfect setup for the next big event, the great Christmas chore.
The food prep. So much of the story really comes down to the food, doesn't it?
It does. Her mom cooked the main event, a huge traditional turkey. But Emily's role, her story, was defined by, hard work.
Peeling potatoes.
Peeling lots and lots of potatoes.
For mashed potatoes?
That detail about the potatoes, it feels important.
Yeah.
It grounds her story in, active participation.
That's it. When you hear, I peeled lots and lots of potatoes, you get their investment in the meal. She wasn't just a guest, she was contributing. And the meal was, it was massive. Carrots, peas, gravy, the works.
And the high point was the eating itself. The table was decorated beautifully, festive red candles, all of that. But the takeaway wasn't just the taste, it was the sheer amount of food.
Right, the source has this really vivid, almost funny description.
It says she ate so much food that she was so full and her stomach was round.
So for her, a successful holiday was all about abundance, shared indulgence. Maximum social contact, maximum food.
And the decorations matched that scale too. The Christmas tree was apparently enormous.
It touched the ceiling.
Touched the ceiling.
Yeah.
And they decorated it together, put the big star on top.
Yeah.
Again, it's all collaborative.
The gift exchange seems to follow that same pattern of warmth, of immediate connection. Emily gave her dad a new watch, and his reaction was instant. He smiled big and put it on his wrist right away.
That's a perfect gift exchange moment, isn't it? No awkwardness, just pure joy.
Exactly. And she got a book, a very long one apparently, but she was excited to read it.
And then, after all that food, you'd think the energy would drop, but no.
It just shifted. They played cards.
Of course. And the grandmother won.
Which is such a great detail. It's a moment of shared fun, a bit of friendly competition. The source says they laughed so much.
So Emily's story is this chronicle of constant motion. Travel, cooking, talking, laughing. A holiday defined by doing.
Okay, so that's one version. Now, what's so fascinating is the immediate pivot to Paul's story.
Which is all about not doing. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source gives us this really clear, intentional comparison.
Active participation versus intentional rest.
Exactly. Restorative rest.
Paul made a very different call this year. He stayed home for a calm, quiet holiday. He even says he felt lucky.
Lucky because he didn't have to do the drive, right?
Yeah.
He got to avoid all that traffic Emily dealt with.
His first action of the day was, the most passive one possible.
He slept.
He woke up very late, slept until 10 a.m. because he was, as he put it, very tired from work.
So his goal wasn't social fulfillment, it was physical recovery.
But, intentional rest doesn't mean you skip the good stuff. He made himself a special breakfast.
Banana pancakes.
With lots of maple syrup. He described them as very sweet and very good. A little gourmet moment, but just for him.
And the dinner, that's the clearest contrast to Emily's story. He didn't even attempt a huge turkey.
No, it was too big, too much work for one person.
Simplicity was the key. He just roasted a small chicken. He said it was very easy and very good, too.
Where Emily's effort was this big collaborative project, Paul's was low effort, high reward.
The dessert is a good comparison, too. Emily's family had this traditional apple pie baked by her grandmother, served with ice cream, a whole production.
Again, Paul.
He ate a slice of chocolate cake. It's the difference between a project and a treat.
For entertainment, his choice was singular, nostalgic.
He watched Home Alone, a classic, and laughed a lot.
And after dinner, instead of a loud card game, he just sat on the sofa.
And he called his friends on the phone
to
say Merry Christmas. So he was still connecting with people, just
quietly, personally, on his own terms.
Exactly. His holiday was quiet, but you get the sense it was just as successful. He got a blue sweater from his brother, a very soft one.
And his decorations were, they reflected the whole mood, a small green Christmas tree.
With white lights and gold balls.
Yeah.
Beautiful, but modest.
So the key insight here, before we get into the grammar of it all, is that both of these are seen as successful holidays.
Yes, that's crucial. The high-energy, travel-heavy holiday and the quiet, restorative one are presented as equally valid. It's all about intentionality. Did you choose the holiday you actually needed?
That comparison is really powerful. Two complete stories of effort and ease, chaos and calm. But what I want to get into now is the mechanism. How do these memories, driving, peeling, sleeping, watching, how do they get turned into a story?
And that's where we shift from the emotion of the story to the grammatical skeleton. Every single one of those actions you just listed is locked in the past.
You need the past simple tense.
You need the past simple tense to chain those actions together to make the story flow. Without it, you just have a list of verbs.
So let's reverse engineer this. When we tell a story about the past, we're talking about completed actions in a certain order. And this source gives us a perfect blueprint, starting with the easy ones.
The regular verbs.
The regular verbs.
Right. For these, English is pretty friendly. You just add that ed suffix. So in the stories, Emily cooked dinner, she peeled potatoes, the family played cards. These are the smooth, rule-following words.
But, and this is a key detail, just saying add-ed isn't the whole story, is it? For fluent speech, how you pronounce that ending is critical.
It absolutely is. This is a really deep dive point right here. There are actually 3 different ways to pronounce that ending.
And it all depends on the last sound of the verb itself.
Exactly. So after a voiceless sound, like a K sound in watch, the ed sounds like a T. Paul watched a movie.
Watched. It's a crisp, short sound.
All right. But after a voiced sound, like the L in peel, the ed sounds like a D. So Emily peeled potatoes.
Peeled. A softer sound.
Exactly. And if you get that wrong, the listener can sort of hear the friction. The last one is when the verb already ends in a T or ed sound.
Like need or want.
Right. But if you had to add a whole extra syllable, an ed sound, so they had needed more potatoes, it would be needed. These are subtle rules, but they're what make a story flow naturally.
Okay, so that's the easy part. Now we have to get into the tricky vocabulary. The irregular verbs.
The ones that frustrate every learner because they don't follow the rules at all. And yet, they are some of the most common, most essential verbs we have.
It's really interesting when you think about why they're irregular, right? They often deal with the most fundamental human actions.
Movement, possession, consumption. You literally cannot tell a holiday story without them.
The source points out the most common mistakes here, like with the verb to go. Emily drove her car and went to her parents' house. The change from go to went is complete.
And people instinctively want to make it regular. The source explicitly warns, goid is not a word.
And saying goid isn't just a grammar mistake. It's like a speed bump in the narrative. It stops the listener.
The same thing happens with eating. You can't talk about Emily eating turkey or Paul eating cake without using ate. We just don't say eated.
Never. And the big one, the one we use to summarize everything, is have. We had a great time.
Without had, you lose the ability to wrap up the whole experience. These irregular verbs, they're the anchors of the story.
So the advice in the source is pretty straightforward. It says, just practice telling stories out loud until the irregulars feel natural. Do you think it's really that simple? Is it just about brute force memorization?
Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't call it brute force in an abstract way. The strategy is to focus on the high-frequency ones.
The ones you actually use every day.
Exactly. Go, eat, have, sleep, drive. You don't need to memorize every irregular verb in the dictionary, just the ones for telling your own story. And the source is right. Repetition and context, actually telling the story of your day, is what makes them stick.
So the path to mastery here is to use your own life, whether it's an Emily holiday or a Paul holiday, as the practice material.
Tell the story, and the irregular verbs will start to fall into place.
And that really brings it all back to communication, whether you're describing heavy traffic and card games or just sleeping late and watching a movie.
The quality of that story, how well it connects, it all rests on how you handle the simple framework of the past tense.
So that brings us to our final synthesis. This deep dive has really been on two tracks. First, this detailed comparison between the two kinds of holidays.
The social effort-based one, the 3-hour drive, the potato peeling, the giant tree.
Versus the intentionally calm, solo holiday, sleeping late, making pancakes, just resting.
And second, the really crucial linguistic insight, that both stories, as different as they are, depend completely on mastering the past simple. Understanding completed actions, those subtle pronunciations of the dead, and especially those high-stakes irregular verbs.
You know, the whole conversation from Emily's story to Paul's, so much of it came back to food.
It really did. Turkey, mashed potatoes, chocolate cake, pancakes, pie. We seem to use food to anchor our most powerful memories.
So as a final thought for you to take away from this, think about the biggest, most memorable meal you've had recently. It could be anything, a birthday, a reunion, or even just a great meal at a new restaurant.
Reflect on that memory, and in your own mind, think about how you would tell that story. Practice describing that sequence of events, using the past simple. What did you eat? Who did you see? And how did you make that story flow? That's the challenge that takes all of this and brings it right into your own life.